greetings from the blessed and beautiful land of Brazil. At the same time, I ask for your prayers for our Brazil because it is exploited and devastated by the multinationals and the corrupt politicians. Thanks to the invitation of Sister Eleanor Lanes that I have this opportunity to share with you my intense and long missionary life in Brazil. My name is Malathi. When I was 16 years old, I entered the ICM congregation and made my first vows at the age of 19. When I entered, I did not dream of being a missionary outside India. Even that time, our congregation did not think of sending the missionaries from the third world as missionaries to other countries. It was only the first world sisters were coming to the third world as missionaries. Luckily, thanks to Vatican II, which opened our mind and heart to the missionary call given to everyone. In my first year of missionary life, I was in India preparing myself through studies to be a teacher for the deaf. And I worked as the principal of a deaf school in Mumbai for 3 years. Then came another call of God through our superiors so that at least some of our Indian sisters may volunteer to go to another mission. Once again, this call disturbed me, but by the help of a wise elderly Jesuit, I could discern God's call and place myself available for any mission which is in need of. Our superiors, who knew me well, and also the mission in Brazil, thought that I would fit in there. Reaching Brazil as the first Indian ICM missionary, I had a cultural shock coming from traditional culture of India. But the help of our sisters and by the welcoming spirit of the Brazilians, I could feel at home. I came to Brazil at the time of political crisis. The regime was one of dictatorship. We were 30 foreigners with tourist visa in the language school. 29 of them had to leave the country since the government refused to give visa for the foreigners. I begged our sisters that I would like to go to Brasilia, the capital of Brazil, to see for myself if I could get my visa. Since we did not have a convent in Brasilia, we asked the Conference of Bishops in Brazil where I could stay. They gave me an address of a place. It happened to be a school for the deaf run by the Pavonian fathers. When I was there, I went to play with the deaf children. The director of the school was amazed how I would mingle with these children. I said, I am a teacher for the deaf. Since my diploma was from the Commonwealth Society, I could apply for my visa as a teacher for the deaf, and I got it. You see how God had long prepared me for my religious missionary life through this training. During the first 5 years of my religious missionary life in Brazil, I had learned to live in a multicultural community of ICM in Parachi. There we had 2 Filipino sisters, 2 Belgian sisters, and myself. It was a challenging as well as enriching experience. I was also fully engaged in basic Christian communities. I have learned a lot from these communities because I have learned to read the Bible with the life situation. The faith and life are very much connected. The necessity to enter into the struggle of the people and stand for their basic needs was one of the things I have learned. Being happy and content with simple things like food, receiving people with what we have helped me a lot. The next 10 years I spent in Trans-Amazon area in the state of Pará. In these 10 years, I spent 8 years in a village called Ipishuna, and later 2 years I lived in the periphery of the city of Maraba. These years were really challenging and life-giving. The village where we lived had no corporation water. We were using well water. We had no electricity, no telephone. The public school was still 4th standard. One of our sisters with whom I lived was Sister Agnes Winkier, who had been a missionary in Philippines and came to Brazil as one of the pioneering sisters in the year 1965. She was a teacher by profession. We both worked in this public school and raised the standard to 8. The children who were slow learners became fast learners with our training. During their free hours and holidays, the children and young people came to our house and learned to stitch, hear stories from Agnes, to play in our backyard. The parents were happy that the children had all-round formation. Now that village has turned into city and has an university. The students who were with us are now teachers, community leaders, catechists, syndicate leaders, and political leaders. People have built a school in the name of Sister Agnes Winkier. This gives us a deep joy to see the growth of these people and how they grown in the values. When I was in the periphery of Maraba, Sister Eleanor arrived as a young sister, and she helped Sister Agnes Winkier in the pastoral of child. It was a place of violence, and we experienced a lot of massacre. But we as a church stood with poor and suffering. Then I was called to Itaguaí, a city in the state of Rio de Janeiro, to help in the formation of young girls who desired to become ICMs. These were years of service and learning. The formation was given in a milieu of insertion among the people. We lived a simple life. The formation was together with other congregations who also had young ones. We had a good bonding with other congregations. I also had a very good experience of forgiveness in that place from one of the ladies called Benedicta, an elderly person, and her son was killed by the friend of her son. And when I went to see her, she said, what happened? Because the friend had bought a gun and he wanted to experience whether it was working. And it worked, and the son of Dona Benedicta died. Then Dona Benedicta said, first I thought of putting him in jail. Then she looked at the image of Our Lady with the Jesus, dead Jesus on the lap. She said, if she could forgive, I could also. So she called that God. She said, you had been a friend for my son. Now you can continue to be our friend. I understand that you did not kill him with the intention to kill. It was by mistake. So she embraced him. This experience stays with me till today. For the last 15 years, I am involved with an organization which is engaged in assisting the street population and also in a center which recuperates the chemically dependent person. This service helped me in growing in compassion while listening to their stories of suffering and see the ways to free them from their inner burden with constant listening through relaxation, meditation, and spirituality. Now with the COVID situation, we do the services online with a group of meditation, divine reading of the Bible. Moreover, many are entering in depression. The posture of listening to WhatsApp and encouraging them with positive messages in Facebook are the ways of doing our missionary work. I'll wind up here. Thanks for your patient listening. I am happy as a religious missionary ICM for all these 53 years, and in these 43 years I have been in Brazil. God has done wonders in my life. 3 years back I was found with cancer, breast cancer. I was treated and I came back to Brazil. Now I don't feel the disease, and I feel God's power within me is greater than the sickness. So God be praised. I can also sing with Our Lady. God has done great things in me. Once again, I thank our dear sister Eleanor for her invitation, for her goodness, and also I thank all of you. May God bless you. May God be praised.